Who doesn't want a fold-up e-bike? This is the Mars 2.0 from HeyBike. Yes, it's an e-bike, has a 750 watt hub motor, but you can also opt it with a 1000 watt hub motor as well. Top speed of about 28 miles per hour, although we got it near 30. And on their 1000 watt model, they can go up to 32 miles per hour. And as far as your distance capabilities, you're looking at the 40 to 45 mile range on the battery that's included with the bike. Pricing on this is going to be right at $1,000. Let's go ahead and dive in, take a closer look at the details on this. We'll actually use it, and then we'll come back and talk about our thoughts. This is exactly how the Mars 2.0 e-bike from HeyBike actually comes. Well, we've taken it out of the box, but it comes with the front wheel off. Some of the fenders are not connected, and some various other pieces. So we've got the pedals here. This is just the charger. You got the seat and the seat post. You got all the tools that you will need for this job. If you have your own tools, you may want to use those. And then there's the HeyBike MARS 2.0 manual. This is the battery. I believe it's a 48 volt, 12.5 amp hour, so 600 watt hour battery. So that's the battery there. It just clips into the frame. We'll show all that in a moment. The handlebars are connected with the wires, but they aren't actually installed. That's one of the first things we'll be doing. And then the front fender as well as the back storage rack, luggage rack, whatever you want to call that. I believe that's got like a 100-pound or 150-pound capacity also. So we'll have to install these pedals and different things, and let's go ahead and walk through this. By the way, this is, as we mentioned in the opening, this is a foldable bike. So see, there's a hinge here with a big clip. So you open this up, it actually folds. As well as the handlebars fold as well. We'll go over all that here in a few moments. Get a 7-speed Shimano cassette here on the back, along with the 700 watt or 1200 watt peak hub motor. So this is a brushless geared hub motor that's driving all that power back there up to a 28 mile per hour top speed and like 45 mile range, depending on what setting you have it on. So let's go ahead and get started, get this thing finished, put together. But I did want to mention one thing. They mentioned that this bike is or at least these tires are a 20-inch by 4-inch fat tire bike. It really doesn't add up. That's probably a 4-inch fat tire. So give you an idea here. Yeah, that's probably a 4-inch fat tire, but this wheel in itself is a 16-inch wheel. And then when we go to height, it's almost 24 inches tall as far as a tire on the bike, about 23.5 inches tall. So I wouldn't call it a 20-inch wheel, but anyway, a little bit taller than that. Just wanted to mention that, but we do get a fat tire on that. That's going to help aid in not only going off-road, but also a smoother ride for sure. I'm not sure if any of these red things, there's definitely these rubber dimples. I don't know if they play into any type of ride performance or not, but we may look to see if there's anything in the manual. Otherwise, it's just a kind of a cool look. So let's go ahead and take the manual out. We may or may not follow this along to a T. We'll also probably try to pull out our own tools as we need it. Looks like there's one kind of nut and bolt, Allen head bolt, and lock nut. I'm not sure what that's needed on. Several different Allen wrenches, an 8mm, a 10mm, and a 13mm, 15mm. So it looks like 8, 10, 13, and 15, very common sizes. And then you open this up. First couple of pages are about the bike, and then it goes right into the assembly. Number one being the front wheel. We won't do that yet because of how we have this set up, and we'll come back and do that front wheel. But then it goes straight into the handlebars. So let's go ahead and get started. You can follow along in the manual if you want to, but we're going to kind of do this as we see fit. In the box here, also, I mentioned, this is the charger for the battery or charger for the bike. And we'll go over that once we use it as well. So as I mentioned, the handlebars are connected with the cables, but everything's kind of loosey-goosey here. The gooseneck there is loose, and basically we have to install this. And this is foldable right here. So you see this joint right here. So when we fold this bike up to put it away in a trunk, we can actually flip this lever. So we have a little lock right here. Unlock that, open that up, and then this folds away. And in there is our actual Allen head where we want to install this. And what we want to do is we want this lever right here on the front of the bike. So we want this kind of pointing straight forward. At least that's exactly what the picture shows. And this is a 6mm hex head or 6mm Allen wrench. And so I'll use my impact driver. We won't go too hard on that. And now we can flip this up and lock that down. Now, even though the picture showed this going straight forward, this is not at all lining up with the forks. So I'll loosen that up a touch and actually turn this where it needs to be. And it seems when this lever is kind of about 45 degrees from front dead center, and we can better align that once we actually get the wheels on and get the bike upright. But that will get us close. And so now once we fold it up, we just pull this till it locks in. And now that's locked into place. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten these handlebars because they're not locked in. And again, we'll fine tune this later once we get it all put together. I'll kind of rotate the computer out of the way, which by the way, I'm keeping the foam on that just to protect that face. And this is a 5mm hex or 5mm Allen wrench. Cinch that down a little. And now let's get this seat and seat post in. I'm just going to open this lever here, which by the way, there's a thumb screw there to tighten that down if we need to. The seat is already installed, and by the way, there's a little lever right here. And with the flip of that lever, we can actually fold that seat forward as well. Pull it down, it locks into place. It looks like we get a little bit of a suspension seat also. Install this. Looks like that's the max ride height right there, but we'll go ahead and put it down a little ways. And again, fine tuning later. Get that kind of in place. And this is also where our battery goes right here. So this is the battery. There's a little key right here, which by the way, if you put the key in and turn it, we'll see a little lock come out, and that actually locks that battery into the actual frame of the bike. So otherwise, if you don't have that locked, you can pull this battery out just willy-nilly, if you will. So make sure you pull out your tail light that we'll install in a few moments. This slides all the way down to here and then locks into place. Turn the lock, and now it won't go anywhere. And by the way, this is your on-off button as well as far as powering with the battery. Now we'll install the front fender, which you can see the fender actually comes with the brace on it, and that brace is going to go back behind it, and this clip will go here on the front of this fork brace. However, this headlight kind of gets sandwiched in between the two as well. And that's the nut and bolt that you get with the kit. So put the bolt through here, through the light, through the bracket. And that's going to be a 5mm hex head or Allen head. And then down here at the base of the forks, same thing, 5mm. That's where the bottom of your brace will go. So now our fender's locked on pretty well. Headlight's nice and secure. And flip it around to the other side, and this does need a little bit of tweaking by hand just to make sure you get all four of these started first before you run them in tight. And once you get them all four started, go ahead and snug them up. And you want to make sure this is not rubbing on anything or pinching any wires, and you should be good. And these rear fender struts are going to come loose even though the fender is actually installed on there. And we need to take this bolt out right there, which you can see it's already loose. It's not tight. And after a further inspection here, that hole is either stripped out or that's the wrong size fastener in there. I mean, you can wiggle this around and just slide it in and out. So I'm not sure, like I said, if that's supposed to be a larger fastener or if that's been extremely stripped out. And while we're here on the back, on the left-hand side of the bike, if you were riding the bike on the left-hand side, on this rack, there's two places right here and right here that actually work great for routing the cable for the light. And it allows you, there's two spots here where you can actually use zip ties that are included. We can slide the zip tie through, route the cable, and this is for the tail light or the rear light. And I just put that snug till you get the other one in too. Like I said, it's up here. Get that nice and snug. But again, not overly tight yet. And make sure you got plenty of cable in there. And that the light will actually go right here. We're supposed to. And if you're comfortable with that, go ahead and cinch these zip ties down. And go ahead and snip those. And then we'll mount this tail light, and these are just little 10mm nuts. Should line up in these holes right here. By the way, these are 8mm nuts, not 10. You don't have to get crazy tight with these, just get them nice and snug. And while we're here on this side, we'll go ahead and open our pedals. And in case you don't know, the pedal on the left-hand side is going to have the opposite thread pattern as the right-hand side. And these are actually labeled. There's the right, here's the left. And so left is going to be lefty tighten and not lefty loosen. Make sure you get that started by hand. And then use your 15mm wrench, either the one included or in our case, whatever 15mm we have close by. Nice and snug. And let's go ahead and flip this upside down. It should be able to sit on its handlebars. It is a bit, should I say, top heavy now, bottom heavy normally, as well as it's rear heavy. So your battery, your hub motor, everything's here in the rear of the bike. Let's go ahead and tighten up this fender strut here on the back. And then we'll go ahead and get this right hand pedal, which is standard thread. Nice and snug. And finally, let's get this front wheel on here. Should be 15mm. And you might need, there's a bolt nut on the inside and outside here, kind of acting as a spreader as well. And you won't be reusing this. Then you've got a couple of things going on here. First, we have a disc brake that we need to get the disc in between the two pads in there. At the same time, we need to have it spread far enough that these little tangs here go in these holes on both sides. So this might be one of those situations where maybe you want a little help from someone. Again, make sure your disc is in between the pads and make sure the little tang on that washer is in that hole. This is the battery here right behind the seat post. You have a master switch that turns it on and off. And this is the charging port right there. Just a simple barrel connector. Slide it in, charge the battery. And then the battery gauge is right here. You can press that and it will give you a notification of the charge status of the battery. Now while it's charging, it won't do that. Take that out, press that, and now you can actually see the status of the battery. So basically this is your control panel, or really this is kind of your computer screen, and then here's your controls over here. You have a horn and your lights right here, but here's basically your controls to the panel here. So the first thing we want to do is just hold the power button down for a couple of seconds, and it should power this on. Now you want to make sure that the power switch is on the battery, and now we see a few things here: voltage of the battery, Bluetooth. You can actually use an app to connect to this, and as well as tells us mile per hour. Pedal assist mode. So you have 5 different pedal assist modes. So you can, one of course is going to be slower than 5, and so forth. 5 is going to be your max speed, and then this is your distance here. Now we can turn a backlight on the display right here just by holding that down. It's going to turn it off, holding it down, turn it on. So that's giving you the status there of your backlighting. Now you can turn your headlight on right here on the left, turn that on and off, and you're going to have a tail light and a brake light as well that always work. And then of course the horn is going to work as well. Now you do have a regular 7-speed selector here, like on any kind of multi-speed bike. Very easy just to click that and go down, or press here and go up. So if you're actually pedaling and choosing the speeds here, obviously 7 is going to be a higher speed than 1 would be. 1 would be for climbing hills, and 7 is going to be when you're on that flat or downhill and you really want to build up the speed. Now in the pedal assist mode, once you start pedaling a couple of rotations, you'll feel the motor just kick in and start going. However, you don't have to do that. You have a regular throttle right here that you can actually push down, and the bike's going to take right off right away. So you don't have to do the pedal assist. You can just use this like a throttle on a motorcycle, a moped, or any other type of vehicle. We have dual hand brakes, so the right hand brake is going to control your front wheel, and the left hand brake is going to control your rear wheel. Both of these are cable operated disc brakes. I'm sorry, left is going to control your front wheel, right is going to control your rear wheel. Now right here under the handlebar you have a little lever. You can just push that, and then you can actually raise this up. You have a little indicator right there to raise that up to whatever's comfortable for you, and then just clamp that back down, and that's going to hold the handlebars. And same as back here on the seat post, just open this lever right here, and then you can put the seat post down or put it up, and that's going to give you your max adjustment right there. Clamp that down, and now you're ready to go. We'll go ahead and take a little ride. We'll leave it in pedal assist 5. Going uphill on this terrain here. Now we're here on the hard road. So why would you want something like this? Well, there's several reasons. Maybe you're riding through the city, maybe you're riding from job site to job site, maybe your job site's a big job site and you can ride from one building to the next or one job site to the next. There's several different reasons why you may want an e-bike and you don't want to pedal as much, but you still want to get a little bit of exercise. I'll tell you one of the things I like to do. We like to go to the Daytona 500 and even the race in July at Daytona. And parking, you're just miles away if you want to get the cheap parking. And typically we like the cheap parking. Throwing this in the back of the truck's easy to do. Grab a couple of e-bikes, you throw them in the back of the truck, you park out at the $10 parking, you ride them in, and you get to park them right next to the racetrack. So big event stuff, these things are great for that as well. But we already mentioned that this is a $1,000 bike, so $999. Now, if you do opt for the 1,000 watt model, you're looking at another $100. It's going to run you about $1,100 to get you another couple of mile per hour in top speed, and obviously that's going to use up a little bit more battery as well. Now, this is a really cool bike because not only do you get a decent speed out of it, you get a suspension seat that's very comfortable to ride. You get a front suspension as well, and the larger tires are not only good on the asphalt but also on the sidewalks, obviously, and even through some trails. So some light trails, running through some grass bumps, things like that. It's going to be a very comfortable ride for you. And then at the end of the day, you can fold this thing up, and you might have a little trouble putting it in your trunk, but any SUV, you're not going to have any problem other than lifting it, because it's not a light bike at all. Obviously, with a battery, with a hub motor, and all the steel and aluminum that it takes to actually make all that sturdy, which, by the way, even though it folds up, it's a very sturdy ride. I'm not a small guy, and I ride it absolutely comfortably with no flex at all that I'm feeling when I'm going over bumps, speed bumps, you name it, even at top speeds. And as we mentioned in the beginning, you can ride this with the pedal assist, where you're pedaling and it's assisting you with the motor, or you can just use it with the throttle and not have to pedal at all and just use that throttle button and run top speed wherever you want to go. Now, HeyBike also has other models like mountain bikes and more city-ridden bikes. You name it, they have several different models that you can choose from, as well as different options on those bikes as well. Be sure to check it out. We'll have a link in the description. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.